Hi, I'm Marge Robeson, registered dietitian with Pasonic Partners.
And I'm Louis Aguilar, chef at LCCAA Head Start.
I'm Melinda Gray, the food service manager at LCCAA Head Start.
Welcome to part one of our two-part out-of-the-box cooking series, where today we're going to be making a vegetable barley soup. The weather's starting to change, good time of year for soup, and I love a good soup. Do you guys make soup? Do you like soup, Louis?
I love soup. It's so versatile. You can add, subtract things to it, and it's one of those foods that usually takes about one pot for everything to be incorporated. You could use just one pot, and you could leftovers you can freeze and reheat them for later.
Yeah, great. What about you, Melinda? Do you like soup?
It's convenient. It's a comfort food, especially if you're starting to get ill. It's something you can always turn to.
Right. I love soup. I would say if I could cook once and eat twice, I'm all about it, and soup does that. So I can make a big pot, freeze part of it for another day where it's crazy and I need to think of something quick for dinner. I can pull that soup out of the freezer. And I love, like you said, Louis, with soup, you don't have to be so scientific about measuring or even ingredients. We'll talk about that as we go through this. Whereas in part two, where we make bread, that's going to go great with this soup. Bread and baking, you have to be a little bit more stringent and serious about the measurements.
Yes.
This, you can add and delete and increase and decrease pretty liberally as you like, right? So I think we have all of our ingredients and we'll get started.
I'm going to go over and enjoy the smells while you guys cook the soup.
All right. So you're heating up our pan.
We're gonna heat up the pan. We're gonna start off with our olive oil, and we're gonna start saute our onion, garlic, and some of our other veggies here to start.
So again, you get all of the ingredients to make this soup in your box, everything that you would need. But like we said, if there's other things that you have around the house that you want to use up to add to this soup, you can always do that. The way we're making this soup, it's going to be vegan, but you could always add some kind of bean or protein or something else to it also, right?
Yes. So we're gonna do 2 tablespoons of the olive oil. Let that just heat up for 1 second. There. We're going to do the onion and the minced garlic.
So we already pre-chopped a lot of
We
this.
pre-chopped some of the veggies. For the onion, you'll have one onion complete. We'll set it in here. And that is the sound you want to look for.
So you get that oil hot, add in the chopped onion.
Chopped onion, your garlic, and let what we call let the flavor sweat out. So you want these onions to be translucent, but not get to the point where they will burn.
So you got that sauteing.
You got that sauteing. In the meantime, this is a good part to start chopping and dicing your carrots, your potatoes, and any other prep you might have. And just make sure to keep a watchful eye on this. And for the next part, what we're gonna do is we're gonna add the diced carrot, and we'll just wait here for 1 second. We're waiting for some of this flavor to.
So this soup has some of the vegetables are fresh and some are frozen. I think the beauty of soup is frozen vegetables work really well in soup. Some things like the onion and garlic, that brings out good flavor when you use, fresh and potatoes. But you could also use frozen carrots. I think you'll be getting fresh carrots to add that little bit of flavor. But the frozen green beans, the frozen corn, now when you get those in the box, they have been frozen. So you're not getting your box frozen. It'll have been in the refrigerator. So those vegetables will have thawed. Try to pick the box up as soon as you can. And then you have about 5 days to use those frozen vegetables that have been thawed. So even if you don't want to make the soup and eat it today, again, you can make the soup and either freeze it or you could make the soup and it could stay in the refrigerator for a few days. But you want to use those frozen vegetables within about 5 days of getting your box.
And a good thing also is if you have, let's say you buy a larger package of vegetables and you didn't use it all completely for dinner or your lunch, those are things that could just, like we said in the beginning, it's versatile. You just add them right into the soup you have. Maybe you have some carrots or peas in the freezer and you want to use those up. It's good because of versatility. You use frozen, fresh.
Right.
So just throw it right in there and won't go to waste.
Nice, nice.
Now we'll add the carrot. This recipe calls for about 4 of them, or about a pound. So we took 4 carrots that we had peeled and pre-diced, and we'll add them in there with our onions and our garlic, and just let those saute for a little bit. And at this part of the recipe, if you would like to add tomatoes to it, you could, or any other of the fresh vegetables that you might want to add. Again, very versatile, very forgiving, simply very forgiving. Add, subtract, like we said.
So the vegetables smell great as they've sauteed, but then adding those extra herbs and seasonings. I think these are dried herbs, so you want to add them at the beginning.
At the beginning, yes.
Whereas if you have fresh herbs, you tend to add that later in the cooking process. Okay.
So you have that. I'll give it a quick stir. Just incorporate that. Then we'll add the salt and pepper. And then we will add our broth to this. And while this is doing its thing, we will prep the potato, which will go in after. Now once you've peeled your potato, gotten all the skin off. One thing, potatoes have peculiar shapes because they don't always come in the same shape and size. So one thing that I found is you take your work surface and just cut the edge off of that. I know that looks funny, but this will provide you that flat surface to then be able to kind of stabilize that potato and have a more stable work surface. And what you want to do, since we are doing 1/2-inch cuts, that'll keep it from rolling because it is a heartier food product. You don't want it to roll around for safety reasons for your fingers. Once you're there, you want to go about 1/2-inch dice. So you'll cut them lengthwise. Kind of take them to the side.
So you're just small dicing that
Small dice.
potato.
So what you'll want to do is, once this comes to a simmer, we'll add our potatoes in. So I'll keep cutting away and then we'll add these potatoes in. Now we'll add the cup of barley to the recipe.
So I don't know how many of you have ever cooked with barley. I love barley. It's kind of like a mixture between rice and pasta.
Yes. It's chewier, has nutty flavor.
Works really well in soup, but I've also used barley as like a salad, mixed it with some vegetables and dressing. It works really well. You're getting a pearled barley, and that just means the hull of the barley has been removed, so it cooks a little bit quicker. There's also a hulled barley, has a little more nutritional values, whole grain, but that takes a little bit longer to cook. So the barley went in, and that will take a little bit to simmer.
It will take a little bit of simmer, boil, and also it'll give that ample time for the barley to cook. Our barley is cooked, our potatoes are nice and tender, and what we will do now is add our frozen veggies, which won't take that long like all of our other fresh stuff. So we have 1/2 cup of the peas, the corn, and the green bean. So we'll add those in here.
So now what do? We just kind of wait and let it all meld together?
We let it all simmer, and all those flavors will marry together, and then we'll enjoy.
We'll be ready.
I've joined back with you guys because it smells delicious in here.
I think the soup is done.
Yes, the soup is done, and we'll go ahead and...
So it's simmered, all the vegetables are very tender, right?
Yes.
It looks delicious. So what I love about soup, especially with kids, is soup is a great way to get kids introduced to different vegetables. I know my kids always liked soup, and especially if I would put some like oyster crackers we have here that might go on the soup. Even if they're just picking out a small amount of the vegetables, that's a great way to introduce them to some new vegetables. We've paired our soup with the bread that we're going to be making next time, so please tune in for that episode where we'll be making this no-knead bread that we think is a great accompaniment to the soup. So we hope that you enjoy our out-of-the-box cooking series, and welcome colder weather with some soups on your tables in your home. Enjoy cooking with your kids, and please share with us any pictures that you have that you take as your family enjoys this soup. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.